Okay, we were talking about All Apologies by Nirvana, which I was calling Kurt Cobain's Swan Song. The Swan is, the song before the swan dies is the Swan Song. But it's, as far as I'm aware, the Swan Song is also like the greatest song of a particular artist, whatever artist it is. And you could also say it's like the closing message, the final message of that artist, and it's a great message, And I would say, obviously, this thing that we're doing is called the Gospel of Rock. We've been looking at spirituality, religion, and spirituality in rock music, and in some ways you could understand, you could look at most songs, if not all songs, as even if they're talking about mundane topics, there's a spiritual element, if not the words, the music itself. And Kurt said that the song was for Courtney and his daughter, and maybe not the words, but the feeling of it was for them. You could also look at Kurt's history. He became born again at one point, I think when he was like 12 years old or something, and then he got over that, but he probably, who knows what I read some of his journals, but not all of them, and I don't know what some of his deeper thoughts were about religion and spirituality. I'm looking forward to reading those at some point, but you can't help but think that he was thinking about Christianity and obviously the name of the band, Nirvana, and the definition of Nirvana as being, at least, the Merriam-Webster's. There's a little interview with him where he's saying, the freeing oneself from suffering. Freeing oneself from pain and suffering, Nirvana, and the how that connects with Christianity, and obviously Jesus suffering for the sins of humanity, or however Kurt understood that to be, and however he saw himself. Maybe he had some inkling of himself as a kind of a Messiah himself. Again, I'd like to look at his journals and see what, but he was very, at least outwardly, he was very humble, I would say, from what I can tell from his interviews and so on. And he was rather, you would think that he was this fast-living rock star or something like that, but he actually seemed quite the opposite, and wasn't really looking for fame and fortune, although maybe on some level he was. I mean, many artists, if they had a choice, would want their songs to be heard and to be recognized and to be, to get it out to more people, especially if it's a message that you feel could be helpful to many people. And I know that many artists, including myself, try to write songs that would appeal to more people and would be more accessible. Obviously, there's a financial reward to that. If you can write a song that 1 million people download or 1 million people buy, then you make more money, at least to keep your creative, to go the next step with your creative vision. There's nothing wrong with that. Some people might have a problem with that. Obviously, if you're going to use the money and for drugs and for material riches and goods, maybe that's problematic, but maybe not. I mean, if that makes you happy and that helps your creative process, who's to judge? In any case, the point I'm trying to make is you could definitely look at all apologies as a very deep message. And the second verse is also rather mysterious of the song, and the third verse. The second verse, goes, I wish I was like you, easily amused. Found my nest of salt, everything's my fault. I'll take all the blame, aqua sea foam shame. Sunburn, freezer burn, choking on the ashes of her enemy. Now, what does all that mean? Clearly, there is definitely some religio-spiritual undertones to this song. Even just the name, All Apologies. I think it was originally called La 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 or something, and then they changed the name, or Kurt changed the name to All Apologies. What is an apology, by the way? An apology, it's a Greek word. Apology actually means defense. It has come to mean to say you're sorry for something. But if you've ever read like Plato, the Apology of Plato, it's Socrates' defense at his trial for why he led the youth of Athens astray, and he was defending himself, and that's called the apology, is a defense. Now, when Kurt is saying it in the song, it's very tongue-in-cheek and ironic, like, what else should I be? All apologies. I'm not going to apologize for who I am. And you could say, if you wanted to get deep into it, that love and truth need no apology. There's no apology necessary. Love is never having to say you're sorry. Love needs no defense. And you could even read into it, and the apologies has the word Jesus in it, Jesus, right? I'm sure people are going to laugh at what I just said, but I wouldn't not see something religious and even Christian in the song. And the Son, in the Son I feel as one. In the Son, married, there you have Mary. And the original song was just married, not buried, which gives it a slightly different, even maybe slightly darker tone to it. I think the original version, most people think, was lighter and brighter, and the final version that came out on the album was more kind of grunge, Nirvana style. Keep in mind that they were doing it was an act. They saw themselves as entertainers, and they were creating something that was in that genre, and they weren't. It wasn't necessarily completely from their angst and their hang-ups, but they were creating art that was there was a meta understanding of themselves as artists that were creating something for probably mainly young people that were going through similar things that they had gone through when they were in their teens and early 20s. And by the time that they did Nevermind, they were already past that in many ways. But anyway, I don't know if I need to say that much more. I just want to kind of bring this out a little bit more. See if you have any thoughts. There's some lines there, that are definitely mysterious. Found my nest of salt. What does that even mean? Maybe that's a reference to something else, and I'm sure someone else has commented on it, and probably a reference to something that Kurt heard, or maybe he just came up with that on the moment. and he thought it sounded good. Everything's my fault. I'll take all the blame. Again, it could be ironic. The whole thing, it could be very ironic. Definitely iconic. Ha ha ha. Let's see what else. Yeah, I think it's a song that's going to be covered a lot. I'm even thinking about doing a cover of it someday. I think it's the greatest moment, even beyond Teen Spirit and some of the other songs that they're very well known for. Let's see what else. Yeah, the All in All is All We Are. It's, by the way, I've done this for ayahuasca ceremonies. I've started to play it because it's, it's a medicine song too. It's all in all is all we are. There's a sentiment for the ages. Where did that come from? Again, it's very, it's very Buddhist. Perennial philosophy, perennial wisdom from a young lad from Aberdeen. So just a tribute. This is a tribute. This is appreciation for a genius that was recognized before he died. And so many geniuses out there, not all of them recognized. Maybe if you're listening to this, you're one of them. And it doesn't matter, if you're recognized or not, ultimately, as long as you love what you do and are coming from your heart. If one person feels it, if 1 million people, 1 billion people feel it, it's the same, ultimately. And the main thing is that you feel it and you recognize your own brilliance. Thanks for listening, and talk to you soon. This is the Gospel of Rock. Adios.